Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new draft league analysis. The Nimbasa City League. Uh, the organizer of this league is my friend Ian, and he was kind enough to invite me in as well, because CCBL will be finishing up. The final match should be happening sometime this week, and then the UPBA is finished up at the moment for me because I didn't make the playoffs. And then, yeah, so I'll have, I think, 4 leagues running at the same time at the moment. But as some finish up, we'll have to consider about continuing on with them. But that's not the point at the moment. The point is this draft analysis. So I had a little bit of a plan going into this. There was some mons that I wanted to pick up that I've used before, and some new mons that I kind of wanted to try as well. Well, I mean, I had, I think, 3 or 4. Excuse me, sorry, 3 or 4 mons that I really wanted to get. And then I would fill in the rest of the spaces as I go along with other things that I need, whether I've used them before or I have like been wanting to try them or something like that, or if I just think they'd go well on the team. But anyway, my first pick, I was 11th out of 12, so I get basically a wheel pick. But I am near the end of the drafting. Yeah, I am near the end of the draft, so I have to hope that what I want makes it to me. But my first pick was something that I did want, and that was Zygarde. Now, I've used this to pretty decent success, I feel, in the CCBL. It's got some nice, it's got some decent bulk for an offensive mon. 108 HP with 121 defense and 95 special defense is definitely not bad. And then it's got 100 attack, 81 special attack, and 95 speed. So not terrible in the attack and the speed. And then a bit lower special attack, but that's to be expected when something is mainly a physical attacker. The ability Aura Break is pretty useless because I think that like stops Xerneas's and Yveltal's passive or ability, whatever their auras, from being as effective. And since they are Ubers and they're banned from most leagues, makes Zygarde's ability a little bit pointless. But you don't pick him up for his ability, let's just say that. He's got some nice setup moves with like Coil, Dragon Dance. Has the extreme speed for the priority. Glare, you can paralyze some things. Haze, you can stop something else setting up in your face if you really wanted to. And then the reason that you pick Zygarde really is the 1,000 arrows, because like normally ground moves can be avoided by flying types or levitate types, levitate ability mons, stuff like that. And yeah, with 1,000 arrows they don't. So 1,000 arrows basically has no switch-ins besides like bulky grass types, which is a really strong move to have. And like Zygarde is really fun to use. I'm glad to have him back on my team, that's for sure. And his nickname will be Cellular, because in what game? Sun and Moon. You go around and pick up little cells, and that makes the Zygarde. So cellular makes sense to me. Next up was something that I haven't tried before, but I needed to start looking to build a Dragon Fairy Steel Core. and I knew what fairy I was going to go for. I'll say that right now. But I didn't know what steel type I wanted to get. I know I wanted a decent steel type, but I wasn't sure if I should look into tier 1 or 2, or maybe even tier 3 if I can see something that I wanted there. But I did also need to think about hazards and hazard control. And while I am doubling up on the ground typing, I got a pretty good steel type, I would think, from tier 1 with the Excadrill, Scissorhands, after Edward Scissorhands, just because his hands look like big metal scissory things, I guess. But yeah, 110 HP, 135 attack, 60 defense, 50 special attack, 65 special defense, and 88 speed. Not the strongest defensively, but like it's got a decent HP stat, and then like a pretty good attack stat, and not terrible speed either. Makes a good Scarfer or something like that. Abilities: Sand Rush, Sand Force, and Mold Breaker. I'm definitely not building a sand team, so Sand Rush and Sand Force are not the most useful for the team that I have, but I mean they could come in handy if I do come across a team that is using sand for something. So that's always nice to have that, and it also stops them from having that ability with the Sand Rush and the Sand Force if they did want to go for a sand team. And then Mold Breaker can let me Earthquake, Levitate Mons, and stuff like that. So that's really neat to have. Also got some setup with the Hone Claws and the Swords Dance, and then got the Rapid Spin to clear rocks and other hazards, and Stealth Rocks can set up my own hazards. So that's pretty cool there. As I said, does double up on the ground type with the Zygarde, but when it comes to doubling up on types, ground type isn't the worst to do it, just because it gives you that possibility for the electric immunity and stuff like that. So, and it's a pretty decent offensive typing, so nice to have. And now, so that's my Dragon and Steel of the Dragon Steel Fairy Core. And next up, I went for my favorite water fairy type, Primarina. Named after. Oh, I just noticed that I misspelt that. But yeah, Primarina, named after my girlfriend Anna. So HP 80, attack 74, defense 74, special attack 126, special defense 116, speed 60. Has decent HP to go along with that special defense stat, makes for a good assault vest user, but it makes for an even better specs user. Nice wall breaking potential with that special attack, and like a choice spec, something like that, and lots of hard hitting special moves like the hydro pump, if you want to use that, hydro pump or hydro, I can't remember. I never use it. I don't like missing, so I generally take Scald or Sparkling Aria. But then some nice coverage moves like Shadow Ball and the Energy Ball and other things like that. Psychic, and then obviously the Moonblast as well. Torrent ability, so if it gets low health, does more damage with water moves, and has a few useful supporting moves with like the Encore, Light Screen, Reflect, but most of the time you wouldn't use Primarina for any of them. It does have the Aqua Tail for a little bit of priority as well, but Aqua Tail is a physical move, and it Primarina does not have the best attack stat to use that with. So, and next up, I am going to complete my CCBL main offensive core with the and then complete my well, not complete. Sorry, I might start working on my water, fire, grass core. Um, and I think poison is a really good type to have as well on a team, especially a grounded poison type to suck up toxic spikes and stuff like that. I almost think that having a poison type is super important. Like you could almost make it a dragon, fairy, steel, poison core. Um, I feel like a poison type is almost that important on a team. But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, I was finishing off my CCBL team's offensive core because I really like using that and I wanted to use it again. And so I grabbed Salazzle, Slizzard. 68 HP, 64 attack, 60 defense, 111 special attack, 60 special defense, and 117 speed. With the corrosion ability and oblivious as a hidden ability, most of the time you'll take corrosion. Be able to toxic steel types and poison types is really useful, and a lot of people do forget about that sometimes. So being able to do that, like I've watching a Toxapex die to Toxic is one of the most satisfying things ever. Same with things like Celesteela and stuff like that. Being able to Toxic them is amazing. Does also get things like Disable, Encore, Fake Out, Knockoff, Nasty Plot, and Taunt. Nasty Plot is definitely pretty standard. Being able to boost that special attack even higher. Fake Out, Knockoff, not so much, but they are there. And I mean, situationally could come in useful for some reason, I'm sure. But yeah, having the Zygarde, the Primarina, and the Salazzle back on my team is really good, I think. I feel like they make a great offensive core, and I do have ideas to help flesh out that core as I go further along in my draft. Luckily, none of these got sniped. I did take them fairly early, earlier than most other people would, but I do value them for myself. I feel comfortable using them, and I like using them. So next up, I do have I grabbed the Cresselia, so I needed to get a tier 2 pick, and like I don't want to be weak, super weak to ground, and I feel like if I can pick up some levitate mons and stuff like that, I can make my opponents think twice about bringing ground moves, which will leave me with the potential for Salazzle to run around and deal some damage. So, or at least I can switch into things like the Porygon 3. Yeah, Cresselia, my Porygon 3, because it's like the bigger duck, the biggest duck. But yeah, I feel like having the Cresselia is a decent levitating psychic type. I could have also taken Azelf from the same tier, which is a faster, more offensive threat, but it does not have the bulk. I did need some bulk for my team as well, some like dedicated bulk. And Cresselia with 120 HP, 120 defense, 120 special defense is definitely the definition of dedicated bulk. And I mean, then you can set up with Carmine, you can set up screens, Lunar Dance to heal stuff at the like by sacrificing the Cresselia if it gets low, something like that. Magic Coat has the potential for bouncing back, like Stealth Rocks and webs and stuff like that. Moonlight for some longevity and healing. Reflect, more screens. Trick could have potential, I guess, and then Trick Room. I don't really intend to be running Trick Room, but it could be something interesting because while my team is not the slowest, it's definitely not the fastest either. I've got a few speedy threats, but also some slower mons too. Next up was my Serena. Now, I have been wanting to use Serena for a while, and this completes my Fire Water Grass core, and it offers me another option for rapid spinning. Yeah, so with the 72 HP, the 120 attack, 98 defense, 50 special attack, 98 special defense, and 72 speed, it can be relatively bulky as well. So it could be a bulky spinner, or like it could be scarfed or like even banded if you really wanted to. But like with the Queenly Majesty ability, it makes it so priority moves don't work. So it can also make your opponents think twice about using priority, which is pretty cool. And then you've got the aromatherapy, which can have a bit of clerical use. Get rid of statuses on your mons. That's good. Knockoff. Screens again. Rapid spin. A bit of healing and synthesis, and a bit of momentum in U-turn, which is always nice to have. But yeah, Maybelline, you know, hair products. Got some beautiful, luscious hair. So that's where that nickname came from. But yeah, Serena should be a good addition to my team, that's for sure, and it's definitely something I've been wanting to use for a while. So it goes well with the Primarina and the Salazzle, I feel, and the Zygarde, and I guess the Excadrill, but mainly the Firegrass and Water Core that I have. Next up, I can't remember off the top of my head what I grabbed. It was, okay, I needed some more speed, and another option for hazard control and for setting up hazards is always nice as well. An Aerodactyl, I've used Mega Aerodactyl, but I was not going with Mega Aerodactyl for this draft. I had another couple of Megas in mind that I wanted to go for instead. But 80 HP, 105 attack, 65 defense, 60 special attack, 75 special defense, 130 speed. So it's really fast, and it's got a decent attack stat. Defensively, it's not very strong, but it's like really fast and really offensive. So that's what it's for. It gets things like agility, the defog for the hazard control, hone claws, raw to phase out your setting up opponents, rock polish or agility, same thing basically. Roost for some healing there, stealth rocks, set up hazards, tailwind, speed up your whole team, taunt, and more phasing and whirlwind. So definitely some utility there. Also has a decent amount of like coverage moves, the elemental fangs and stuff like that. So I feel like that'll be a definite positive addition to my team, that's for sure. Once again, it's another like ground check, so backs up the Salazzle really nicely there, and then also the Salazzle backs up the Aerodactyl pretty nicely, because Salazzle can switch into steel type moves and stuff like that. So that's a pretty nice synergy there, I feel. And then I've got the Zygarde or the Excadrill to switch into electric type moves, which Aerodactyl also does not want to take. But yeah, definitely a good addition and excited to use that. Up next, I have Pangoro, Dark Fighting type, 95 HP, 124 attack, 78 defense, and 69 special attack, 71 special defense, 58 speed. Iron Fist, another mold breaker user. There's not many of them, so being able to pick up a couple of them is probably pretty useful. Just being able to ignore enemies' abilities is pretty nice. And then Scrappy, which lets me hit ghost types as well. So that's pretty neat. Get some setup and some priority. Gets bulk up, hone claws, swords dance, all for setting up. It's got bullet punch for the priority. It does get knockoff as well. having multiple mons that can use knockoff is always good as well, not knowing what mon is going to have it. Parting shot, so that's some more momentum there, and also dropping the attack and special attack of whatever switches in or whatever is in front of Pangoro at the time. And then it's got taunt as well, and like a bunch of coverage moves as well. Things like gunk shot, the elemental punches, all those kinds of things. And then it's named Po after the panda from Kung Fu Panda. I believe that was his name. But yeah, that's a late pickup. Next is my Mega Pidgeot. Now this was what I was like. This was what I was aiming for at the start of the draft. But when it was getting closer to me picking my Mega, I saw that Mega Beedrill was free, and at this point, I didn't have a bug type. And I mean, I still don't. I didn't end up getting a bug type, but if I took Mega Beedrill, I could have arranged my last few picks to get all the types I needed. Well, like to get all the types covered. But in the end, Ian was already aiming for the Mega Beedrill, so he got that instead of me. But that's alright, because I was originally aiming for this thing in the first place, so I just went and got this instead, which I feel is a good addition to the offensive core of Zygarde, Primarina, Salazzle. Just this can get some no guard hurricanes off, so and do some like decent stab flying damage there without having to worry about missing. And then other moves like I think Heat Wave and stuff like that that can also miss as well, but will not now because of that no guard ability. But it also means that things like Stone Edge from other mons and stuff like that will always hit Mega Pidgeot as well, so you need to kind of be careful with that. Because it's definitely not the bulkiest with 83 HP, 80 attack, 80 defense, 135 special attack, and 80 special defense, and 121 speed. It has decent special attack and decent speed though, so that's good. Can really abuse things like the Hurricane. Gets agility, can set up some speed. Gets defog to get rid of hazards, quick attack for a little bit of priority, reflect if you really want to set up screens. I mean, I've got multiple screen options, so that would not be something I would take on Mega Pidgeot most likely, but you never know. Also has refresh, get rid of like Toxic, Thunderwave, Will-O-Wisp, anything like that. Gets rid of all the burns, paralysis, and poisons that you could ever want to get rid of. A Roost can heal yourself back up. Tailwind can boost your whole team's speed, and then you turn for some momentum. So, I think this will definitely be able to put in work with the offensive core that I have, and definitely a good addition to the team. It's similar in the respects of an offensive speedy mon, offensive speedy Mega as what Mega Beedrill would have done, but I feel having this immunity to Earthquake as well is definitely still better for my Salazzle and my team in a whole. So yeah, a lot of my team is immune to ground type moves, and no one else has the Zygarde. Someone might have picked up Zydog, but that would be one team out of the 11 others. So there's still 10 teams that is going to have a lot of trouble hitting me with ground type moves. So yeah, looking good for me. Next up, I needed to grab an electric type. So I grabbed a bit of a slower one, but one that has a little bit of bulk and good coverage, and it has no weaknesses because of its levitate ability. We've got Electros, Ilroy, HP 85, 115 attack, 80 defense, 105 special attack, 80 special defense, 50 speed. Good assault vest user, but it also has very good coverage and some nice setup moves, so you wouldn't always want to use it. It's got the hone claws, so maybe not the best setup move, but still alright. And it's got the coil as well, so you can set up your attack and defense at the same time if that's what you wanted to do. Knock off Roar for some phasing, U-turn for some U-turn and Volt Switch for some momentum. So having both of those options and the ability for it to be a mixed attacker with relatively similar attack and special attack is, I feel like it's not the fastest, but it definitely makes up for it in its relative bulkiness and mixed attacks. So you never really know what it's going to be until it starts chipping away at your team. Which is really nice, because getting chip and allowing things like my Zygarde to sweep, Primarina to sweep, Salazzle to sweep is going to be important for me over the course of this season. So next up, I needed either a like bulky normal type or an ice type, depending on what route I wanted to go. I was looking at Ordino, but it got sniped from me right near the end of this draft, like two turns before my pick or something like that, 2 or 3 turns. And then I was looking at a few options like Aurorus, what else? Glaceon or Lickitung. I was looking at Licky instead of this Electros earlier, but I felt like this Electros fit my team more than any of the T5 electric types did. And yeah, I was just looking through the T5 mons that were available. I saw some like interesting ones that could fit. I was at first gonna pick up Aurorus because like I thought Aurorus got Aurora Veil. Like it just makes sense to me that Aurorus would, because it's like Aurora Veil, Aurorus, like it's the Aurora Mon. Why wouldn't it get Aurora Veil? But it does not. Aurora Veil could be really nice for my team, helping my team set up and sweep easier. Glaceon does get Aurora Veil, but it has to set up Hail before it can use it. And it could be useful for wish passing and stuff like that. But it's not the most reliable wish passer. Lickitung would be better, even though Lickitung is reliant on Everlight, it would be a better wish passer. But I feel like the Assault Vest Aurora Veil support will be, at least the potential Aurora Veil support will be much nicer, but I wanted to get a bulkier mon that is useful for it. And looking through T5, there was Regice, Antitanic, because it's an iceberg, you know. But yeah, 80 HP, 50 attack, 100 defense, 100 special attack, 200 special defense, and 50 speed. So pretty defensive mon. Still got a decent special attack stat. Clear Body can't have its stats lowered. Ice Body, I think, heals itself in Hail. While I've only got Aurora Veil and Rock Polish listed here, it does get some decent coverage moves offensively. But being able to Rock Polish or something like that is pretty cool. Get some speed up. Though something like Z Hail into Aurora Veil could be really useful. But having that Aurora Veil potential plus the bulkiness of the Regice, even if it is bulky Ice type, which is not the best defensively, could still come in really useful. I think, and just having the Aurora Veil option is going to be good for my team. That's for sure. But yeah, that's the Adelaide Redrex. That's the squad for the season 1 of the Nimbasa City League, created by my friend Ian. And I just hope that the team will be able to put in as much work as the CCBL team did with the same core. So I feel like I have a pretty strong team. It's not the fastest team. It's not the uh, most. It's not the most offensive team. It's. I feel like it's a decent mixed team. So um, should be able to put in some decent work. I feel. But yeah, let me know what you think of the team if you want. Comments below. Um, and yeah, let's just hope that I can put in some decent work with it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you for the battles.